C-Train Station. I'm C-Train. This is the station. Let's get going. So, I have not done, this is my first UFC video, and I'm so stoked. UFC 268, Madison Square Garden, New York, the Mecca. It's going to be great. I want to talk to you about the main event, the men's welterweight championship fight between Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, and Colby Chaos Covington of the 541. Okay, here's some keys to victory for each of the competitors. First, I'm going to go for Usman. I think that Usman has inside track, honestly, to knock Covington out. His jab is like flooring competitors. I believe that Gilbert Burns was knocked down by a jab, and Masvidal, I believe, was as well. But he's been heavy into the jab and the cross, and Usman is so direct and strong and powerful for a welterweight that when he does connect, it doesn't necessarily matter because about the whether it's like a big looping hook or just a jab. He creates enough power to rock people. I think that that's the biggest thing that Covington has to look out for. Specifically, if Covington's gonna go in for some kicks, which I think he should. I think he hurt Usman. He bothered Usman last fight with some nice kicks to the midsection. Covington is going to have to look out, though, for that overhand. Every wrestler, right? Like, Usman is going to have an overhand right. That's like one of the go-to moves for wrestlers in MMA. Maybe not so anymore, but it has been traditionally. And anyways, if Covington's going to kick, he's going to have to protect himself. He's going to have to look out and be able to absorb a couple strikes of Usman's. And Usman is clinical now. Man, he starched Masvidal. That was ridiculous. That was a highlight reel right there. So, I think that Usman, he needs to listen to his coach, Trevor Whitman. And I think that he needs to just work his hands. Honestly, I think that he can still, I think that he can rock Covington again. As shown by the starching of Masvidal and beating Gilbert Burns up pretty bad, So, but what are the keys for Covington? Right? I think that we understand Usman's one of the best pound for pound welterweights of all time. I don't necessarily need to go on and talk about what he needs to do. He needs to be himself. He's like barely lost. Now Covington is the guy who lost to Usman. Covington has to mix it up. He has to dog it out, but by that I mean he needs to be touching Usman. He needs to pressure Usman and really overwhelm it. And I believe that the highest probability of Covington making this work, somehow getting a victory against seriously one of the pound for pound best of all time, is to incorporate at least grappling. You don't have to necessarily take Usman down. I don't know if Usman's ever been taken down, but you have to try. And in that effort, it's going to create a scramble. And Covington has to try like the Dickens. He has to try like heck that in that scramble, when you go from takedown attempt to sort of grappling for underhooks, in that scramble, exchange. He needs to go after Usman's body. I think that he hurt him last time. I think that he needs to kick, have some nice kicks to Usman's body, and then if Usman does get rocked or hurt, he has to apply pressure. That's the only way. Of course, right? An elbow, a well-placed elbow, a well-placed knee, a well-placed shin can finish anyone. When I'm talking about Covington striking Usman, but man, Usman's really tough. He's super durable, and he's big, man. He's strong. He's spliced, dude. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be difficult. So I have one of my really good college buddies is friends with Covington, and I like almost feel for him. One thing that I have to add for Covington is he needs to control his emotions. This is what I mean by that. It stinks that Colby has admitted that, okay, maybe he's saying that his antics, his whole media thing, he first said it was like just a total, just a total character, like a wrestling heel. That's exactly what it is to me. But there's a cost. Like, I was just watching him sit down with Daniel Cormier, and Cormier's like, man, I know you in real life, and you're not like this at all. You're like putting on a complete show and a character. And what's the cost? That's what I think, seriously, Covington is lacking. It's the one thing that I think that he's lacking. And I know that Covington's good friends with Chael Sonnen, and they're such different people. Everybody's a different person, right? But I think that they're both, great guys. That's wonderful. But like, Chael is able to just friggin' talk. I mean, just wing it. He's a champ. He's like your uncle that friggin' talks, tells you the stories of the good old days. You know what I mean? What were the 60s and 70s like? You know what I mean? But anyways, and those aren't the good old days is relative, by the way. I digress. I think that there's a cost to Covington not being himself and centered with how he grew up. Like, anything's himself, right? What he's putting on right now is still him. But the act and the antics, unfortunately, come at a cost. I think that the cost that, like, just mentally, what he's saying and verbalizing, it's not necessarily him and his intentions towards a fight. So I hope that Colby's antics don't take away from his mentality to fight, because you have to fight in order to win. And Colby is one heck of a fighter, but those are the things that actually separate the champions. And I understand that Colby did win an interim championship, so he's a champion, right? But those long-standing champions, I can only... You tell me. Can you just look this up? Whoever's out there, this is almost a plea. If you're out there, look up any fighting champion who was this abrasive and it actually lasted. Remember the second part. Was this abrasive? Okay. Ali talked some smack, right? He said some derogatory things to a lot of people, like Joe Frazier. Conor McGregor, of course. But how long did that last in MMA? And who do you know? And how many championships did they win? Sonnen wasn't a UFC champion. He can talk and talk and talk, but there's even a cost to smooth talkers like himself. Covington has to be centered, and he has to emotionally disengage from the character when he gets inside the octagon. That's what I'm getting at. Disengage from the character because you're in a fight. But what I do expect to see from Usman, I expect to see, now going back, I expect to see better movement. I think that he will still engage, but I think that he's understanding that he doesn't have to hit as hard. I think early in his career, he threw so much into his punches. You can see you can see him winging it. He is now more direct, more efficient, and he has Trevor Whitman to match his feet and footwork with those hands and the friggin' guns behind it. That is a problem. When we're talking about chaos, Colby, you better look out for this one. Predictions, I'm going to say that I could see this one going the distance again, but I could also see Usman knocking out Colby. The only way, it's like if Colby can land a head kick and really flurry and maybe get a choke, But I don't think that Colby's going to be able to ground and pound. See anybody who's going for Colby in this fight, you have to tell me how he wins. Tell me how he wins, how you can project. We all have imaginations, right? Tell me in what world and in what imagination he wins. So you could say an elbow off of a grappling exchange. Okay, I understand that. I don't think that's going to happen. You could say it could be a high kick. Because, shins can knock anybody out. I don't think it's going to be that. A ground and pound off of Usman? Come on. Don't do that. So just tell me how. Chael Sonnen predicted, I believe he guaranteed that Covington would win in his YouTube, which is wonderful. Subscribe to that. He said belief is the thing, and heart and belief. Okay. Usman has heart too, and Usman has belief. But the thing is that he also has the technical ability to put people to sleep, which he's clearly shown, as evidenced by his last fight. He's a bigger man, and now he has footwork on his side and has worked longer, for a longer period of time, with his coach. While Colby switched coaches, that's great. Colby has the right to do that. That's wonderful. It's going to be difficult to test that out. I believe that this is the first... If this is the second fight, if the Woodley fight... Colby had the coaches that he has now. That's wonderful. But if not, that's going to be tough. Whitman has a great way of getting through to his fighters, and he understands that all Usman has to do is touch. And if he just touches the face with his inherent and innate power, as long as the feet are with it, it's going to deconstruct whatever it touches over a period of time. So, those are my thoughts on the fight, UFC 268. It is going to be rocking. And thanks for, if you stayed this long, listen to this amazing rant. Thank you so much. You don't even have to like and subscribe. I like you, and hopefully you like me. Have a great afternoon, evening, good night, and weekend.